My name is Hoysall and Chanakya. I used to work at the Indian Institute of Science. I looked at wastewater and treatment of wastewater as well as anaerobic digestion for over 40 years. Well, Bangalore has a long history of restoring lakes, I suppose you understand, starting with a century-old Halsur, then Hebbal, and then Madiwala, Jakkur, Agara, and more recently Putenali, where we learnt a lot about how we should restore lakes, especially where sewage has ingressed and water quality has really gone down. And this is where we try to put all the good parts, good learnings of different experiences into the Putenali lake. The unique aspects of YPL has been the fact that it has been designed specifically to be a bird preserve, while also not depending on only runoff as the only source of water. So even if it doesn't rain for the next 5 years, we can use the sewage flowing beside it to fill the lake after treatment, and it still has always full level, and the lake will support a large extent of birds, large types of birds, and it supports three different type of birds. First key element is what we learned from Agara, how to divert sewage and take only the sewage that we want, the quantum of sewage that we want. And a second part is a novel treatment system in which there are no moving parts, doesn't require electricity and no maintenance for 3 to 5 years. And third, different zones for different type of birds, which are so that the birds that wade in the water, the birds that swim and feed, the birds that dive and swim. So for all these there are different places, as well as there are islands for nesting of these birds. I think an important part also is the citizen connect that we have built, that we are trying to get the next generation more connected with the lake, and so that they become the champions and the custodians of the lake and also have the knowledge to use that lake afterwards. And of course, the patronage of the forest department and the BBMP and the government also has been a key in this particular lake, because it's a showpiece where very few places you have 125 species of birds, 400 birds in just 25 acres, and it's been working for now almost 3.5 years now. Yeah, most of the time sewage is treated in a conventional wastewater treatment plant and then brought to the lake, but here within the lake itself, in the deep end, using only 1% of the land area, a novel treatment process has been made, in which in the first stage removes all the organic matter, the mucky organic matter. In the second stage, whatever little bacteria and particles are there are eaten up by a second group of protozoans, and a third, all the nutrients are thrown out. After this, the water meets reasonably the NGT quality of water that goes into the lake. We introduce a small amount of nutrients so that life begins in this lake. This lake is a living lake. The small amount of algae and nutrients that get in starts the life in the aquatic stage, the phytoplankton or the algae, and the algae is fed upon by the zooplanktons, and the zooplankton in turn are eaten up by small invertebrates, mollusks, worms, and these are eaten by fish, which become the food for the various aquatic birds that we have. So this lake is not merely a bowl in which we are putting treated water, but also there are 4 stages of life which support the birds, and continuously it is sustainable. We have made specific, my colleagues Dr. Subramanya and Shanguni have made specific zones for different type of birds. There is a shallow end with lots of weeds to allow the wading birds to feed and breed, and there is a deep end where the swimming birds, like basically the ducks, and there are reeds where they can nest and also they can have good amount of feed. And a third part, the deep zone, is where you have the cormorants and the grey herons which dive, pick up the larger fish and nest outside. So there are 3 zones, and we have at least 125 species. Some of them are migratory, some of them are resident, and some come only to feed. So this is where the uniqueness has come of this lake. Unlike most other lakes where the depth is reasonably uniform across, here we have for 3 different type of feeding habits, the lake has been designed for. This lake has been designed both from the environmental perspective as well as the ecosystem perspective to become sustainable, to to support these birds for quite some time, and also with very little maintenance. Only thing you have to do is occasional removal of weeds, which we can't help anyway. We are trying to get rid of wastewater, but wastewater becomes useful water a little later after treatment. So it's important that we recycle and reuse water. We should look at water as an important resource and make sure that you use it as wisely as possible.